Thank you.
Get it.
Can we go up and get our picture?
Champagne. Charlie Shaw, the track owner of Winchester Speedway. And Jeff Jeffers. The trophy girls today. Destiny Stone Rock. Shannon Commons. Darcy Fritz. And Tyler Connoisseur. Ladies and gentlemen, now starting field for the 40th running of the Winchester 400. Starting 35th in the Irvine Machine with Bay Treatment Centers, Ford car number 128 from Medina, Ohio. A former regular and one of the top notch runners in the ASA Late Model Series, Jack Smith. Jack Smith also competes that time with the ASA Series. Starting 34th, the Oakley Blacktop McAfee Heated Air Chevrolet, car number 151, the driver from Beaver Creek, Ohio. A former Killcare Speedway frontrunner and regular driver in Xenia, Ohio, Brandon Oakley. Starting 33rd, the Miller's Auto Body, DuPont finishes in weight construction, Ford number 40. 22 career CRA Super Series wins, a two-time series champion, and a former winner of the Winchester 400 from Plymouth, Indiana, Brian Ross. Starting 32nd, Elisa Thomas Salon, Appleton Racket Canyon Chevrolet, car number 82, All-American 400 wins in Nashville. A multi-time track champion and a many time feature winner from Wheaton, Illinois, the number 8, Eddie Hoffman.
Eddie, have a good race today.
Starting 31st, the show headers, Bad Boy, ATVs, and Crossroad Ford, car number 43, the driver from Van Buren, Arkansas. 5th in last year's Snowball Derby, Dennis Schoenfeld.
Dennis, have a good race today, gentlemen.
Starting 30th, the Charlie's A1 Auto, PPG, Monty Rush, Valley View Tire, Practice Clinic, Chevrolet number 28. 4 CRA Late Model Sportsman victories in his career. From Germantown, Ohio, Justin Olsen.
Justin, have a good race.
Starting 29, in the White House Motorsports, Ford car number 22. This driver from Greenfield, Indiana, making his annual run at the Winchester 400. His career best is 10th. Car number 22, driven by Scott Whitehouse. Starting 28 for the San Pierre Chevrolet, Valley Ford, car number 31. Former regular of the open wheel cars, moved over to the Super Series in 2008 and was the Rookie of the Year. From Daleville, Indiana, Aaron Pierce. Starting 27 for the tag, Fortis Incorporated Ford number 84, 6th in the current CRA Super Series points stands with help with Tommy Lines this season. From Cutlerville, Michigan, Jay Newick. Starting 26 in the St. Pierre Chevrolet, Ripley Motorsports, Chevrolet number 1, the driver from Daleville, Indiana, 1998 Series champion, 4 career series wins, Brian Ripley.
All right.
Starting 25th, we got to get a look at performance. Steve St. John signs and designs, Chevrolet number 21. He was the 2005 CRA
What are you doing so back there, bro?
Series wins, 2 of those here on the high bench from Greenwood, Indiana, Tommy St. John.
Oh, have a good day.
Starting 24th, the Ford City Race Cars, Creator Racing Engines, Farmland Body, Chevrolet, number 41, from Butler, Indiana, driver track champion, Northern Indiana, Brent Jack. Starting 23rd, the Vermont Cody's, Nikolai Racing, Chevrolet 49, from Nicollet, Ohio, semi-regular with the CRA Super Series, Colin Nicolai. Starting 22nd, the Winchester 400, the driver of the East Sales and Service, United Trailer Chevrolet number 7, 9th in current points, a couple of top 10 points finishes. CRA competition. Former USA Modified Champion from Edmonton, Ohio, Jason Deach.
Have a good race, mate.
Starting 21st, former ASA champion, 7 career CRA Super Series wins a couple of this year. Look at the engine performance in track Chevrolet number 20. From Wyoming, Michigan, Brian Campbell. Starting 20th, the Adcock Motorsports, Ford car number 15, the driver from Greenville, Indiana, the winner of the Solomon RT CRA Late Model Sportsman race last night. He is 8th at this year's points. David Adcock. Starting 19th, the Motor Waste Equipment Sales and Service, Chevrolet car number 2, the 1997 Series champion, 8 career series wins. 5th in this year's points from Greenville, Indiana, Eddie Tweedy. Looking at Kennedy Racing Ford, car number 96, the driver from Daytona Beach, Florida. He was a rookie on the K&N East Series in 2011. Ben Kennedy. Starting 17th, the Wear Condon Concrete Polishing Chevrolet number 54, a 3-time Southeast Series champion, a 3-time winner in CRA competition. From Charlotte, North Carolina, number 54 is Jeff Foltz. Starting 16th, the 811 Polly Ford Dig, Donovan Grove's Parents Restaurant, Ford 811. From Brentwood, Tennessee, second in the Rookie of the Year Chase Ford in an overall point, Mason Menges. Starting 15th, the All-American Concrete, StephenMassey.com, NTLP Motorsports, Chevrolet, from Pinellas Park, Florida, the Easter Money winner of a race on Easter weekend in Hickory this year, Stephen Massey. Starting 14th, McDonald's Cosolino Motorsports, Chevrolet 111, who his career CRA Super Series champion. He was the 1999 Series Rookie of the Year. From Indianapolis, Peter Cosolino. Starting 13th, the RV Racing High Performance Chevrolet car number 131 was last year's Rookie of the Year, 10th in this year's Series standings. From North Canton, Ohio, welcome Nick Galata. Starting 12th, the Anthony Trucking, number 5 Launch Chevrolet, number 30 picked up her first CRA Super Series victory a couple weeks ago at Lucas Oil Raceway in Indianapolis. From El Reno, Oklahoma, Lindsey Rustin. Starting 11th, the Lance Carmen Toyota, car number 25, Ford career CRA Super Series wins one of those in his first appearance a year ago here at Winchester. From Spring Valley, Illinois, trying to back up his dad's big win last night, Ross Nixon. Starting 10th, the Tennessee Dallas Street Car, Modern Trailer Sales, Chevrolet Car Zero, a 3-time CRA Freestock Point champion. From Noblesville, Indiana, the Zero is Joe Beaver. Starting 9th, the Great Deals, Rich Smith Auto Service, Performance Ford 26, 3 career CRA Super Series wins one of those. Here live, the other 2 are Anderson, Yorktown, Indiana, the Y-Town Hustler, Richter. Starting 8th, the race 10 engineer, EMS Corporation, Chevrolet, number 72. Second down, series points after qualifying, just 3 behind, points leader Derek Griffin. He's a 3-time Super Series champion with 28 career series wins. Today, he wins his 200th career series start from Angola, Indiana, the Hurricanes, Scott Hicks. Starting 17th, Aaron Ford, car number 9 from Knoxville, Georgia, 3 career series victories, one of those. Last season, the Winchester 400. From Dawsonville, Georgia, the number 9, Chase Elliott. At this time, we also will present Chase with the Ed Priddle Best and Perry Car Award. Ed Priddle, a longtime race participant and member of the community, big-time supporter of racing, and
there you go, guys.
Chase gets the Best and Perry Car Award in 2011. And now we will look for a second CRA Super Series Winchester 400 win. On to the top 6 starters, starting 6th, the Reliable Recovery Services Chevrolet number 53. 4-time winner of the series, won the 400 win in Nashville. From Juliet, Illinois, number 53, Forrest. Starting 5th, the Wilson Ford Park Chevrolet car number 82, a former top qualifier here at Winchester. He was runner-up in the 2010 Snowball Derby. From Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Dottie Wilson. Outside of row number 2, the Edward Group, John Drew Auto Industries Ford, number 11, 14 career series victories. He's this year's CRA Street Stock Point champion. He was the Super Series champion 2005. From Lestown, Indiana, number 11, Mr. Personality, Jeff Lane. Starting third, the Daily Truck Engineering Construction and Spray House Chevrolet 81. His first career series point came at Angola earlier this season, a career year, third series point from Austin, Terry Fisher Jr. Your front row starters, Paul Bronson, Harry All-Oil Test, Northern Racing Products, and his fantastic Chevrolet number 17. Top runner, short track national champion from Lake Minnesota, Josh Baptist. And your overwhelming top qualifier, 40th running of the Winchester 400 by way of his fast time, took over the points lead. This rookie leader as well this season, the Stillrock Repair Tank Toyota car number 4. Looking for his first career series win from South Bend, Indiana, Derek Griffin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it one time with a nice ovation for our starting field here at Winchester Speedway. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps for the invocation and national anthem with the invocation from On Track Ministries, Chaplain David Martin.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, today we acknowledge that you are God and God alone, that you have created us in your image, that we might honor you. And Father, as we enter into your gates with thanksgiving, into your courts with praise today, we're reminded of your goodness. Thank you for the opportunity to race today at this beautiful speedway. We pray for safety for all of the participants as the drivers take the green flag, for the fans and the crew. We pray that you give us a great day, and may you be honored in all that is done. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, remove your hats for the national anthem, the Play It by Ear Quartet.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red along twisting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner
annual Winchester 400. Everybody on your feet. Get those hands up in the air. 35 of the biggest, baddest, and brightest superstars in the country representing 13 states. Here for the 40th annual Winchester 400.
Derek Griffin, fast qualifier, presented by Edco Welding yesterday. The seal wrap repair tape number 4. Looking for a win today. All he has to do to claim a championship most likely is finish in front of Scott Hance. Hance, though, a former winner of this race, and he's claimed a number of victories here on the high banks, and he's one of the favorites today. Friday was happy with his car after the first session, didn't even practice in session number 2, didn't qualify the best, but he's in the top 10 to start today's race. He hopes to avoid the problems as he makes his way to the front. We'll get to see who's good on short runs today and who's good on long runs. In the past, in calling these Winchester 400s, I've seen a lot of the early laps go without a problem. Drivers do give and take. There's always the chance that there will be a big one sometime during the course of the race, but most of these drivers hope that happens later rather than sooner, because they know they have no chance to make it into the top 5 and give themselves a shot for victory if they fall out on lap number 1.
Most every driver down there will say the same thing. The battle is to survive the first 300, the first 350 laps of this race. Survive, avoid any potential incidents, avoid if there's any car trouble, if the car's loose, the car's tight, you have time to change the cars. It's a long race. But the big thing, survival, those first 300 to 350 laps.
Cars see the 1 to go signal from chief starter Brian Duncan. Duncan on the starter stand again in 2011. The Sam Pierce Chevrolet Pace truck makes its way into turn 3. Action today here at Winchester Speedway with Matt Preer. I'm Adam Mackey here on Speed51.com as well. Field picking up the pace into turn 3. The green in hand. Derek Griffin, the pole sitter in the outside lane, brings the field across the line, and the 40th running of the Winchester 400 is underway as the field heads to turn 2.
And Derek Griffin already jumping out to a big lead. Jeff Lane works his way up in the second spot in the 11 machine. Boris Jurkovic up to 3rd, but your leader lap 1's going to be Derek Griffin.
And we've got trouble down in turns 3 and 4. Kenny Tweedy gets turned around. Brian Reevely in the 1 car is caught up. The 20 of Brian Campbell slides down into the infield. Tweedy, the 1997 Series champion, a flat right rear tire. Good news for Tweedy, though. Looks like he'll be a car that'll be able to continue after they change the right rear tire. His car, very minimal damage, if much at all. It does have a little bit of a crack in the quarter panel. They might want to fix that up with some tape.
Derek Griffin is your leader in the 4. Jeff Lane riding 2nd in the 11. Then you got Boris Jurkovic 3rd in the 53. Josh Vatt has slipped to 4th in the 17, and Terry Fisher Jr. rounding out the top 5.
82 of Donnie Wilson running in the number 6 position. The 9 of Chase Elliott 7th. 8th is Scott Hansen, the 72. 9th is 0 of Joe Beaver, and running 10th the 25. Make it the 26 of Rick Turner. Kenzie Rustin 11th, Ross Kenseth 12th, 13th, Peter Cozzolino 14th, Nick Galata, the 8-11 of Mason Mingus running 15th. Coming to green off of turn 4.
Derek Griffin on the outside, Jeff Lane on the inside. Green flags back out. We're underway one more time. The field dives into turns 1 and 2.
7 laps completed at the line that time with the cautions counting in this Winchester 400 to the bottom of Josh Vadnais. Goes the 82 of Donnie Wilson. Wilson, the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma driver, is up to 5th.
Back in the field, Brandon Oakley off the pace in a 151 machine, some 20-25 car lengths behind. Next to the last competitor, the 15 of Damon Akoff.
Drivers and teams right now being reminded over the radios, give and take with some patience. It's so early in the Winchester 400. We're at least 3 hours away from the finish of this race. No need at this point to get rough out on the racetrack. Colin Nicolai looks like he's getting ready to rejoin action. A few laps down, though, the 49 of Piqua, Ohio driver Colin Nicolai.
Top 3 cars running nose to tail, but now Boris Jurkovic taking a peek to the inside of Jeff Lane. Not enough momentum as Lane working that outside groove. But up front it is Derek Griffin, your leader in the number 4. Caution flag flies.
We got caution with a car on the wall or close to it coming off of turn number 4. Jack Smith in the 28 car. Pierce Chevrolet CRA pace truck picks up the pace heading into the 3rd turn. The cars might do a little passing of the pace truck down in turn number 4. Here we come to the green, and we are back underway at Winchester.
And again, Derek Griffin with a great restart, utilizing that outside groove. Terry Fisher Jr. follows him by. The number 11 of Jeff Lane, shuffling him back to 3rd.
Rick Turner caught in the middle. He's in the middle of the sandwich. He slides back, loses 2 spots to Stephen Nassy in the 131 of Nick Galata. That's mid-pack on lap number 25. Leading is Griffin. Fisher's taking over 2nd. Lane is 3rd. 4th is Yurkovic, and running 5th is Donnie Wilson.
Josh Vadnais running in 6th. Chase Elliott running in 7th. He's got a battle on his hands brewing with the 72 of Scott Hansen, 39 of Kenzie Rustin. Drivers and crews being told moments ago by race control a little bit early to be going 3 wide. We saw Dennis Schoenfeld deep in the pack. We saw a couple of others going 3 wide. It's racy mid-pack. Beaver slipping back from the 0. So is Turner in the 26. Galata up a spot or 2 mid-pack. And Stephen Nassy in the 51 trying to follow him. Donnie Wilson searching for a way around the 53 of Boris Yurkovic. That is for the 4th spot. Meantime, up front, Derek Griffin with a few car lengths lead over the 81 of Terry Fisher Jr. Single file formation back to drivers out of the top 10. It's Ross Kenseth in the 25, racing with the number 51 of Stephen Nassy. Nassy looking low, drops back up into line, and then you look back to the 8 of Hoffman and the 31 of Pierce. The 151 of Brandon Oakley. The Oakley blacktop machine pulls onto pit road. Tough break for the Beaver Creek, Ohio driver. Oakley, a regular at the Kilcare Speedway the last season or 2, has picked up several victories in the modified and late model division there. And Ross Kenseth, the driver of the Blaines Farm and Fleet, number 25, has picked up a spot from 3-time street stock point champion in CRA, Joe Beaver. Jeff Lane underneath Terry Fisher Jr. for the 2nd spot. Now Boris Yurkovic going to try to follow him through. They're side by side. Give 3rd spot, the final podium position, to Boris Yurkovic. Yurkovic on the move. He is good in these big races. Well, he's good in the 100-lap races too, but we've seen him find himself at the front of the All-American 400 race weekend. It looks like the 40 here. Brian Ross will head pit side. 2-time CRA Super Series point champion Brian Ross has gone to the pits, calling it maybe a day. He's had a rough weekend, got caught up in a crash with that car last night. The Wilson Ford Parts Ford out of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Donnie Wilson gets by Terry Fisher Jr. for the 4th spot. Now Josh Vadnais looking to the inside of Fisher. That is for the 5th spot. Vadnais on the low side of Terry Fisher Jr. A position in the top 5 is on the line. Fisher, the 3rd place competitor in the CRA Super Series points, picked up his first career series victory earlier this year at Angola. It was a dominant win. He's been close to a couple of others, but he's fallen out of the top 5 in the early laps of the 400. He is a former top 5 finisher in this 400 race. Up front, Derek Griffin, a steel wrap repair tape Toyota out of South Bend, Indiana, continues to lead. Jeff Lane, the Ed Martin Auto Group Ford out of Knightstown, Indiana, running in the 2nd spot. Boris Yurkovic in 3rd. 4th, Donnie Wilson. 5th, Josh Vadnais. Oh, we got Jason Deach in the 7 car climbing the wall in turn number 3. Derek Griffin, leader, needs to be careful. Oh, he may have scraped the wall there in turn number 4. If he did, it was very slight contact.
Doesn't look to be any damage on the seal wrap repair tape car, but that was a close call. Lights are off on the CRA Super Series pace truck. Derek Griffin again chooses the outside lane, going into 3 and 4 in his restart. Off of turn number 4, field back up to speed. Green is out, and Derek Griffin will continue to lead. Crosses the line out front. Derek Griffin in the number 4 car leads Jeff Lane off of turn number 2. Donnie Wilson gets by Boris Yurkovic for that 3rd spot. He's not satisfied with that. He's going after Jeff Lane for a second. He pulls out of the high side, coming out of 4. Wilson on his way to the front. He found himself there a couple of times during the Winchester 400 of 2010. Lane is fallen into line in the 3rd spot. Boris Yurkovic follows closely. Back to Carling to 5th, and Terry Fisher Jr. Josh Vadnais running in 6th. Now Scott Hans quietly in 7th in the number 72. Peter Cozzolino started 10th. In that restart, he is up to 8th. Cozzolino's been fast all season long in CRA competition. He put together a good run at Lucas Oil Raceway, and Cozzolino in the 111 on his way to the front.
Cozzolino had a great run last Saturday night over the Berlin Raceway as he led several laps and was duking it out with two-time series champion Johnny Van Dorn.
8-11 of Mason Mingus running the low side of Kinsey Rustin. A couple of young drivers on the series. Rustin picking up her first series win, a big late model race after setting fast time at Lucas Oil Raceway a couple of weeks ago. For those that didn't hear about it, she won the race and was so excited about the victory. She went from excitement, though, to dismay as she started her burnout. Another car came by. They got together and nearly demolished that 39 racer.
Saw the video of that earlier this weekend from Michael McIntyre. It's truly wild to say the least, but Kinsey Rustin running in this field in the top 10 as we speak. In the 10th spot, she tried to hold off Mason Mingus.
And Mingus, the Brentwood, Tennessee youngster, a star wrestler at his high school in Brentwood, Tennessee. Looks strong early on. He's trying to make his way to the front. We've seen him make some strong runs. Oh, contact between Beaver and Whitehouse. And Scott Whitehouse does a great job to steer out of a possible spin, but it bottles up the field as they head to turn 3.
Coming out of turn number 2, Derek Griffin continues to lead. Donnie Wilson now in the second spot in the 82. Jeff Lane shuffled back to third. Boris Sherkovic in fourth. Josh Vadnais rounding up the top 5.
Terry Fisher Jr. 6th. Scott Hand 7th. Peter Cozzolino runs 8th. Chase Elliott is 9th, and in 10th is Kinsey Rustin. 11th, the 8-11 of Mason Mingus. 12th, the 131 of Nick Galata. Stephen Nassie is 13th. 14th, Ross Kenseth, and running 15th, the 54 of Jeff Foltz.
As Griffin crosses the start-finish line, 51 laps are in the books. The 40th annual Winchester 400. Donnie Wilson comfortably in second. Field now starting to sort themselves out just a bit, starting to ride a little bit around this half mile.
Griffin with 52 laps in, looking for not only a Winchester 400 victory, but a series championship. He's completed the first 50 plus out front. Again, Mingus to the inside of Kinsey Rustin coming off of 2.
Mingus may be able to hold the line this time. They come out of turn number 4. Give the spot to Mason Mingus in the 8-11.
Mason Mingus starting this race in the 16th position, and he has gone forward. One of the bigger movers of the race so far into the top 10.
Up front, the Seal Wrap Repair Tate Toyota out of South Bend, Indiana. Derek Griffin running the race of his life out in front. He's got so much on the line here tonight, this afternoon, in the 40th annual Winchester 400.
A driver that has made no progress forward. The 9 of Chase Elliott started this race in 7th, currently runs in the 9th position. He looks to be okay now, though, as he's right on the rear bumper of Peter Cozzolino, who's been a big mover early.
Jeff Lane catching back up to the back bumper of the 82 of Donnie Wilson. Now Lane looks to the inside, nothing doing. Wilson shut the door, they go into 1.
Jeff Lane still looking low on Donnie Wilson. Lane's car might be good on long runs. That would be a good sign for the Nicetown, Indiana driver. As I mentioned that, Chase Elliott also racing for 8th with Cozzolino.
Brent Jack with a hand out of the window, off the pace, and then Hartman Auto Body number 41 out of Butler, Indiana. Also regular and outlaw super late models competition here in the Midwest. Tough break for Jack.
Brent Jack, a couple of times a track champion in the northern part of the state of Indiana. One of the top runners in the outlaw body ranks, but struggling here this weekend. Has had mechanical issues from the start of the weekend through today, it looks like, as he goes to pit road maybe for the final time.
Griffin now approaching lap traffic, puts the 49 of Colin Nikolai a lap down. Damon Akoff in front of him as they make their way down the front stretch.
Griffin working some traffic. Hasn't had to do that a lot today. We've had very few long green flag runs. This may be our longest right here. Griffin has put a half straight away on the 82 of Donnie Wilson, who's in second. 3rd and 4th, hot on his heels, is Jeff Lane and Boris Sherkovic.
The 40 of Brian Ross back on the pit road. Tough break for the Plymouth, Indiana veteran, that Miller's Auto Body Ford.
Jeff Lane, a driver that even in 100-lap races is always fast no matter where we go, but he's had so much bad luck over the years. Lane in the 11 trying to make it a full 400 laps today. If he does, he'll be a threat at the end.
Driver not as fast as you expect him to be. Dennis Schoenfeld, the 43, about to go a lap down to the 4 of Derek Griffin as Griffin looks to the inside going into 1.
Schoenfeld hasn't found the speed he's needed this weekend. The Schoenfeld header's car moves over to the outside lane. The 4 of Griffin scoots by on the inside on this long green flag run this afternoon. And we got trouble. Kenzie Rustin into the wall in the 39. Rustin skims along the wall in turn number 2.
Hard contact for the Melmark Pipe and Supply Ford out of El Reno, Oklahoma. 19-year-old Kenzie Rustin found the turns 1 and 2 wall and rode the wall all the way down the backstretch.
Wilson on the bottom, Griffin on the outside. Row number 2 of Jeff Lane and Boris Jurkovic, and row 3, Josh Vadnais and Terry Fisher Jr. 69 laps complete. At the line this time as Griffin brings the field in.
And Boris Jurkovic taking advantage of that outside second row starting spot. Gets around the 82 of Donnie Wilson. Jurkovic now in second.
Boy, Cozzolino, the 111, nearly put it up into the wall in turns 1 and 2. He kept it off. He's going to lose a spot or 2. Here comes Mingus to the low side.
Jurkovic in second. Donnie Wilson in third. Terry Fisher Jr. fought his way back up the 4th spot, shuffling Jeff Lane back to 5th in the 11.
Right behind him, Josh Vadnais, then Chase Elliott in 7th. 8th is Mingus now as he continues to move forward. Cozzolino 9th, and 10th is Stephen Nassy.
Nassy making his first appearance in the top 10 here this afternoon. Derek Griffin continues to show the way. Boris Jurkovic trying to reel him in as they go into 3 and 4.
Nassy driving a car that was the primary car that became a backup car, but then became the car that he runs today because of a crash with a backup car that became the primary car. You able to keep up with that?
I caught up with that.
And Stephen Nassy still decent qualifying lap despite being the car that he did not want to run. He wrecked his car that he ended up deciding to run yesterday during practice and still put down a pretty good lap with this car. Fortunately, they did test this one on Friday a lot.
And now the 16-year-old from Pinellas Park, Florida, has cracked the top 10 for the first time. He's on the back bumper, the 111 of Peter Cozzolino.
Griffin again pulling away with the 53 of Jurkovic running several car lengths back. Jeff Lane looking low on Terry Fisher Jr. Fisher running 4th, Lane running 5th. Jeff Lane does look like he has a strong car. Fisher slides up the banking in turn number 2, and Jeff Lane up to 4th.
Josh Vadnais trying to follow him through on the inside as they make their way out of turn number 4. Vadnais to the inside. Fisher working the high side. Chase Elliott trying to figure out which way to go.
The 22 car of Scott Whitehouse makes a trip down pit road. Scott Whitehouse to his pit stall down towards turn number 1, just past the 41 of Brent Jack, who's still in his pit stall. And it's 76 laps in at the line for Derek Griffin.
Griffin has led all 76 so far in a steel wrap repair tape Toyota. Young man with a lot on the line here this afternoon, just 19 years old out of South Bend, Indiana.
Backpedaling right now is Ossian, Indiana driver Terry Fisher Jr., 3rd in the series points coming into the weekend. However, Griffin, after running in the top few positions earlier, is fading. The 81 of Fisher fading now, getting close to the tail end of the top 10 as Griffin in the number 4 is pulling away from the field.
The 41 of Brent Jack returned to the racetrack, but is immediately off the pace one more time in that Harbin Auto Body machine.
41 of Jack slow in turns 3 and 4, riding around the inside of the raceway and heading to pit road. Brent Jack calling it a day, maybe, maybe not, as the crew will probably go back to work and see if there's anything they can do with the number 41. Griffin, Jurkovic, Wilson, Lane, and Vadnais the top 5.
Defending Winchester 400 champion, 15-year-old Chase Elliott in the 6th spot. Aaron's rent-to-own machine. Terry Fisher Jr. shuffled back to 7th. Jason Mingus is 8th. Peter Cozzolino 9th. And Stephen Nassy rounding out the top 10, but now he's got a bumper full of Ross Kenseth.
Grandstands full of fans once again for the 2011 running of the 40th Winchester 400. Awesome racing action all day and night long yesterday, and it carries over to the first 82 circuits here today with still over 300 laps to go, and we have not seen our first round of pit stops yet, when the field will start to shuffle and strategy will start to play a part in today's race. Vadnais slips up the banking. Here comes Chase Elliott up into the number 5 position.
Chase Elliott makes the pass. Now cracks the top 5 for the first time this afternoon. The 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia. Now in the 5th, he'll try to chase down your 4th place driver, currently be occupied by the 11 of Jeff Lane.
You got him double wide in a couple of different spots on the racetrack, mainly mid-pack. Here comes Ben Kennedy to the inside of the Lisa Thomas Salon, number 8 of Eddie Hoffman. Hoffman, the runner-up in the JAG CRA All-Stars Tour points, couldn't pull off the championship last night. It was Byron, Michigan driver, the youngster Eric Jones, that claimed the first ever season of racing in that division. He was great this season. And we got trouble in 2. The 22 of Scott Whitehouse up against the wall. Going to bring out a caution for the number 22 of Scott Whitehouse. Everyone else able to avoid issues and get to the low side of Whitehouse, who's still stopped up along the outside retaining wall.
The Whitehouse Motorsports Ford out of nearby Greenfield, Indiana. Whitehouse makes limited appearances in the CRA Super Series. Of course, you can always count on him being part of the Winchester 400 weekend. Unfortunately for him, contact with a turn 2 wall.
Leads lap 88.
A plethora of cars come on to pit road. The 0, Joe Beaver. The 8, Eddie Hoffman. The 11 of Jeff Lane, one of our top drivers, top 5 drivers. 21, Tommy St. John. 2, Kenny Tweedy. 54, Jeff Foltz. 72, Scott Hance. 111, Peter Cosolino. 20, Brian Campbell. Also the 15, the Akoff Motorsports Ford. Greenfield, Indiana's Damon Akoff, they'll receive the Lucky Dog Award. He gets a lap back.
2-tire limit per caution to change, so you can't change more than 2 tires under a caution period, so you won't see any 4-tire changes today unless, of course, somebody flattens 4 tires. Then they're allowed to change 4 tires, but a 2-tire limit during the pit stops on each caution period. 88 laps complete, 89 at the line that time for the number 4 of Derek Griffin.
4 inside, 31 outside.
92 laps in at the line. Brian Duncan, the chief starter, with a 1-to-go signal up, and Jurkovic pulls along to the inside. He's pretty fast, the driver from Joliet, Illinois, but no one has had anything for the number 4 car of Derek Griffin early on. Chase Elliott a chance to maybe move into the 2nd spot using that outside 2nd row starting position for the restart.
Some of our front runners electing to pit that time by includes the 11 of Jeff Lane. We do expect several of our leaders to pit at some point here.
Griffin on the high side, Jurkovic on the inside. The field told to pick up the pace. They come to green off of 4, and Griffin goes into the lead. Chase Elliott is off the pace in the 9. He may be missing a shift coming off of 4, and the field piling in to turn 1.
My goodness, 1, 2, 3, 8 car pile up in turn number 1.
The 9 car of Chase Elliott, I think, missing a shift coming off of turn 4. It was a slow start, so the driver's shifting, of course. He shifted. Now Cosolino trying to pull away from the scene. The 2 of Tweedy trying to pull away as well. But the track is blocked. In turn number 1, we go red for the first time today. There's that big pile up, and it all started toward the front of the pack. .93 complete, 3:07 from the finish. A red flag period, a little bit of a delay for a rain shower that came through earlier. A couple of hard crashes for drivers like Jack Smith, Jason Deach, Kenzie Rustin. Those were mostly solo car accidents, but then the big one not long ago down in turn number 1 when the field bottled up into the first corner. We are ready for green. Coming off of Ford, Chase Elliott, who changed that transmission. He's back out on the track and up to speed as the green is back out.
And like he's done all afternoon, Derek Griffin taking advantage of the outside lane on the restart, taking over the lead and pulling away immediately.
Josh Vadnais into the 3rd spot. Back to 4th goes Mingus. Running 5th on the low lane is Ross Kenseth in the 25.
Still some speedy dry over there in turn number 1. The driver's carefully negotiating through there as Griffin continues to lead. Donnie Wilson riding in 2nd.
Kenseth on the inside, Mingus on the outside lane. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th in a 4-car battle as they come down the front stretch.
Josh Vadnais riding in third, but as you mentioned, Adam, the battle behind him. Ross Kenseth to the inside of Mason Mingus for the fourth spot. Here comes Rick Turner to the inside as he goes to the inside of the 11 of Mason Mingus.
Turner coming along, started fairly deep in the field, did Rick Turner in the 26th. Well, 9th position, not all that far back, but he have not seen much from him during the early stages of the race, but he does put himself now into the number 5 position.
Derek Griffin continuing to show the way, the number 4. Donnie Wilson riding second, the 82. Josh Vadnais third, the number 17. Ross Kenseth now away from the field. He's running in the 4th spot, trying to reel in the trio up front.
Turner running 5th, running 6th is Nassi, running 7th is Mingus. He's fallen back after this restart. Schoenfeld behind him, a challenge from the inside. 2005 champion Jeff Lane.
Right behind Lane is the number 72 of Scott Hance. As Derek Griffin comes out of turn 4, we are 1/4 of the way through the 40th running of the Winchester 400.
100 laps in, 100 complete, 300 to go. And Derek Griffin has put 5 car links on Donnie Wilson. Vadnais running a couple of car links back in third, and then a big gap over half the straightaway over the 4th place car of Ross Kenseth.
Rick Turner now in 5th in the 26. Stephen Nassi in 6th in the 51. Battle for 7th continues. The 11 of Jeff Lane, the 8-11 of Mason Mingus. Behind them, battle ensuing between the 43 of Dennis Schoenfeld, the 72 of Scott Hance.
Into the number 7 spot is Jeff Lane in the 11 car. He's been good in the first 100, and he carries it into the second 100 on today's Winchester 400. Jeff Lane, a lot of open track in front of him to log some laps, get towards the middle of this race, and mount a challenge up in the top 5.
Back in the field of 53 of Boris Jurkovic has picked his way through, picking off cars one by one. He gets by Newick.
Following him is youngster Chase Elliott. He picks up the spot from Newick as well. Tommy St. John, 2-time winner of Winchester races in CRA, looking to the low side as well. He wasn't quick in qualifying or practice trim this weekend, but maybe in the race he can find himself at the front later.
Up front, Derek Griffin continues to lead. Battle raging for second. Josh Vadnais taking a peek to the inside of Donnie Wilson. Nothing doing, but no, Vadnais opens the door back up, going into 1.
Vadnais on the inside of Wilson as the 2 fall back from race leader Derek Griffin. Josh Vadnais, the driver that started on the inside of row number 1, is into the 2nd spot again after falling deep in the top 10 earlier.
Donnie Wilson shuffled back to 3rd, the number 82. Some distance between Wilson and your 4th place driver, the 25 of Ross Kenseth.
Rick Turner running in the number 5 position. Nassi in 6th. 7th is Jeff Lane, and he has left that big pack of cars towards the back. One of those 3-time series champion Scott Hance caught in the high groove as the inside lane moves forward. Chase Elliott follows the 53 of Jurkovic.
Jurkovic now in the top 10, running in the 10th spot as he challenges Dennis Schoenfeld for the 9th position. Chase Elliott looks to follow Jurkovic by the 43 of Schoenfeld.
Side by side between Jurkovic and Schoenfeld. Off of turn number 4, Jurkovic running the low side, Schoenfeld on the high side lane. They go up the banking a little bit in 1 and 2. Right behind them, Chase Elliott in the 9 car. Scott Hance following, several car lengths back. Up front, Derek Griffin closing on some slower traffic. Just the number 15, last night's winner in the late model sportsman race, Damon Eckhoff. He nearly spun it up in 3 and 4.
Eckhoff all kinds of sideways coming out of turns 3 and 4. Griffin now carefully negotiates around the Greenfield, Indiana teenager, putting him a lap down.
Griffin leading the first 110 laps. It'll be lap 111 on the board this time for the Greenfield, Indiana driver. Griffin strong in that seal wrap repair tape Toyota, looking for his first ever CRA Super Series win. He has won some big races. One of those, the Stan Perry Memorial a year ago. He's also won the late model sportsman division here at Winchester.
White Bear Lake, Minnesota driver Josh Vadnais, the Perry Doll Soil Testing Chevrolet, not letting Griffin stray too far out in front. He's got some distance to make up, but Griffin not able to quite pull away from Vadnais.
Griffin, Vadnais, Wilson, Kenseth, Turner, the top 5. Nassi running not far behind the top 5 in the 6th spot. And then back a straightaway to 7th and Jeff Lane. 8th place, Mingus. Challenge from behind. It's Boris Jurkovic, Chase Elliott, and the 43 of Schoenfeld.
Elliott now in the top 10 as he gets by Schoenfeld. Jurkovic to the inside of Mingus going into turns 3 and 4. But up front, Derek Griffin continues to lead the four. Josh Vadnais riding second. A slew of lap traffic in front of Griffin here momentarily.
Griffin will catch a huge pack of cars in about 5 laps. Joe Beaver, Jeff Foltz, Tommy St. John, Peter Cozzolino racing with Jay Newick. They are just about a half straightaway ahead, the bulk of that traffic, in front of leader Derek Griffin. And if you look towards the front of that group, you've got Terry Fisher Jr., Scott Hans, Mason Mingus, Chase Elliott, Boris Yurkovic. They're in danger of going a lap down if this race stays green for very long. The problem for Griffin is the fact that he hasn't made a pit stop yet, so he doesn't want to see a huge green flag run, or he would have to make a green flag stop.
That is for sure, and Josh Vadnais is slowly closing the gap on the number 4 of Griffin. Behind Vadnais, some distance back, Ross Kenseth now challenging the 82 of Donnie Wilson for third. He'll go to the inside coming out of turn 4.
Kenseth, the Spring Valley, Illinois driver, on the inside lane on the high side. It's Donnie Wilson. Down the front stretch they go, and into the number 3 spot, the 25 of Ross Kenseth.
His dad picking up the win last night down the Charlotte Motor Speedway in Charlotte, North Carolina, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Now Kenseth solidly in front of Wilson. He'll try to chase down the 17 of Vadnais as well as the 4 of Griffin. Now Griffin in a whole heap of lap traffic.
Chase Elliott, the Dawsonville, Georgia driver, on the inside of Boris Yurkovic. Heading into turn 1, Elliott in the Aaron's Dream Machine number 9 has picked up a spot from Yurkovic.
Jeff Foltz and Tommy St. John side by side battling for position, with Griffin now right behind him, and Vadnais has caught the back bumper of Griffin.
Griffin working to the low side of St. John. Vadnais back 3 car lengths now in turns 1 and 2. Next on Griffin's list, a former winner of Winchester races in the past, the 54 of Jeff Foltz. He has a damaged number 54 car, though, from the previous big wreck in turn 1 that resulted in a red flag. In front of them is Jay Newick, the second-year driver in the 84.
Griffin searching for a way around the 2 lap cars of the 54 of Foltz, the 84 of Newick. He'll take a peek to the inside, but Foltz himself battling with Newick for position.
Right in front of the leaders as the lead duo, Derek Griffin and Josh Vadnais, are kind of boxed in right now behind Jeff Foltz and Jay Newick. Back half a straightaway to third and Ross Kenseth. Griffin looking to the bottom. Griffin looking low off of 4, drops back into line with the 2 slower cars heading into turn 1. Vadnais so far being patient, but now getting a little antsy. He closed to the rear bumper of the Seal Wrap Repair Tape 4 in turn 2.
And this is allowing Ross Kenseth to reel in your top 2 machines, as Kenseth now going to deal with Tommy St. John about 10 car lengths back of Vadnais.
Foltz to the inside of Newick. This is really the first scary moment for Derek Griffin in the race, and Vadnais looks high. Griffin clears him going down into turn 3. Griffin to the bottom of Jeff Foltz, the leader in heavy traffic. Jeff Foltz, he can't get underneath him. Now he does in 1 and 2.
Vadnais searching for a way around both drivers as Ross Kenseth is closing the gap yet again as they make their way through 3 and 4. Coming out of 4, Kenseth is caught up to Vadnais' back bumper.
Nearly a 3-car lead pack, including a couple of slower cars that are going down circuits. The 84 of Newick now moves over for the 4 car of Griffin. He gets underneath them going to 3, and it's clear sailing ahead for the number 4 of Griffin again.
Not only the top 3 cars running together, 4th, 5th, and 6th are closing the gap as well. The 82 of Donnie Wilson, the 26 of Rick Turner, the 51 of Stephen Nasse.
The top 3 have cleared. The 84 of Newick and the 54 of Foltz. 129 laps complete right there for Derek Griffin in car number 4.
Back in the field, defending race winner Chase Elliott got by Jeff Lane. That is 4 to 7 spots. Shuffling Lane back to 8th. Boris Yurkovic running in 9th, and Ben Kennedy making an appearance in the top 10.
Scott Hans runs 11th. Terry Fisher Jr. 12th. Mason Mingus 13th. 14th. Peter Cozzolino. Joe Beaver 15th. Then is Schoenfeld 16th. The final car on the lead lap is Schoenfeld.
Damon Eckhoff goes a lap down. 2-year leaders as Griffin has pulled away again from Josh Vadnais.
131 laps in the books at Winchester Speedway, and Ross Kenseth, as Vadnais starts to fall back from Griffin, is being challenged by Kenseth on Vadnais off of turn number 4. The 25 of Kenseth is right there for the second spot.
Back in the field, both Rick Turner and Stephen Nassy have gotten by the 82 of Donnie Wilson, shovel him back to 6th. Rick Turner now in 4th, but he's got a bumper full of Stephen Nassy.
Without making a pit stop and on the same 4 tires that he started this race, Derek Griffin is still ripping off some amazing lap times. That car has not dropped off much at all. It is stout.
Peter Cozzolino off the pace in the 111 machine. Awfully slow, going through 3 and 4. He'll look to come to pit road. Tough break for the Indianapolis, Indiana veteran.
Peter Cozzolino, the 111, the McDonald's Cozzolino Motorsports Chevrolet, has been fast all season long, but the 111 pit side, the crew going around to the right side of the car. They're going to jack up, it looks like, the rear end of the ride. Some sort of issues on the 111.
Next car to potentially go lap down is the number 0 of Joe Beaver. In front of Beaver, a battle continues on between the 811 of Mason Mingus, the 81 of Terry Fisher Jr.
Derek Griffin in the number 4 car. You know what he would kind of like to see here pretty soon, I would think, would be a yellow. Right now, he's leading this race, but has not made a pit stop. And the last thing he wants to do is have to go pit side under green, and I'm sure the crew a little bit nervous right now about fuel mileage as well.
No doubt about it, but as you mentioned, Griffin continued to rip off some impressive laps. He puts the 0 Joe Beaver a lap down. Now he's on the back bumper of the 81 of Terry Fisher Jr., who earlier was running in the top 5.
Fisher, a former top 5 finisher in the Winchester 400 race. 3rd in this year's points, has now gone down a lap, and Mason Mingus, who we saw running up in the top 5 earlier, is next to go down a lap to the number 4 of Griffin.
Fisher Jr. and Beaver between your leader, the 4 of Derek Griffin, and in the battle for second between the 17 of Josh Vadnais, the 25 of Ross Kenseth. Kenseth thought about making a pass to the inside, thinks better of it with lap traffic in front of him.
140 laps will mark on the board, this time out the line for Derek Griffin. He closes on Mason Mingus, his closest Rookie of the Year competitor. Mingus, 2nd in the Rookie of the Year standings, 4th in the overall points, has had a great season, but he's been in the shadow of Derek Griffin all season long because Griffin's put up top 5 run after top 5 run.
Griffin continues to lead in the 4. Vadnais riding 2nd, the 17. Ross Kenseth 3rd in the 25. Rick Turner 4th in the 26. Stephen Nassy rounding out the top 5 in the 51.
Running 6th, the 9 of Chase Elliott, 7th. The 11 of Jeff Lane. Then we've got the 96 of Kennedy, 82 of Wilson, 72 of Hansen. Wilson's really off the pace in the 82. He's another driver that would like to see a yellow pretty soon so he can come to pit road for tires and make some adjustments on the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma driver's car. And Joe Beaver pit side in the 0.
Derek Griffin still trying to figure out a way around the 811 of Mason Mingus, trying to put him a lap down. This is allowing the 17 of Josh Vadnais, the 25 of Ross Kenseth to try to reel him in one more time as they make their way through 3 and 4.
Joe Beaver getting some fuel. The crew look like they may be running a little bit warm. They worked on the nose piece of that car, maybe clearing the grill area. Griffin into heavy traffic, and Donnie Wilson going a lap down as his car has really faded. Wilson down a lap, and Mingus still hanging on to the tail end of the lead lap at the completion of lap 145.
Just goes to show you that the setup, everything that goes on with these machines, if it goes bad here at Winchester Speedway, it could be catastrophic. Now the 81 of Terry Fisher Jr. on pit road.
There's your answer. They're starting to need fuel. I think Fisher comes down to pit road. He also has some stuff on the grill of the car, maybe running a little bit warm, Fisher. They go into their pit stall. Well, they're not going to the side of the car to put any fuel in, so obviously a heating problem and something under the rear end as they jack that 81 car up, and he was 3rd in the point standings coming into the race. Terry Fisher Jr., the 81 ride pit side.
Well, we got a caution flag trouble here in turn number 4. Donnie Wilson into the turn 4 wall. Looks like Rick Turner might have been involved as well in the 26.
Well, you wondered how long it would take. The Wilson Auto Parts 82 of Donnie Wilson had definitely dropped off the pace. That car was fading. Vadnais, Kenseth, Turner, Nassy, Elliott, Foltz, Newick, many other competitors coming pit side. It's not going to leave very many out on the racetrack.
No, not at all. Just about everybody's going to come down pit road, it seems. So far, everybody is on pit road. The only car to stay out, it looks like, the 0 of Joe Beaver.
Oh, no, he's going to make his way to the pits, too. So I'll tell you, it'd be easy not to go down a lap under this caution in the pits because every single race car came to the pits. Wilson was the first of those as he pitted before the pits were open because, of course, he was involved in the spin in turn 4.
And got a potential problem, perhaps, for the number 4, Derek Griffin. Close quarters here on pit road. A couple crew members getting together right there. Griffin just barely able to get by the 11 lane.
Good pit stop for the number 4 of Griffin. He was able to make it out of his pit stall. Elliott makes his way around the 81 of Fisher and the 4 car of Griffin as they head to the end of pit road back on the raceway. Griffin not bad pit stop wise. Fisher leaves in front of him and Elliott out in front of the pack.
Deach several laps down. The CRA Super Series pace truck pulls on the pit road. Chase Elliott using the outside lane. Green flag, we're back at it.
Into the first corner, Chase Elliott goes into the lead. It's not been very many laps today where someone other than the number 4 of Griffin has been out front. He led until that caution just moments ago, and he had to make his pit stop. Scott Hansen, the 72, is up to 3rd.
Return 4th, Josh Vadnais in 5th. Ben Kennedy battling with Boris Yurkovic, who's got a bumper full of Ross Kennedy, who's battling with Stephen Nasse.
The 4 of Griffin running 2nd. He's a car length behind. The 9 of Chase Elliott is a complete lap number 159. Jeff Foltz is off the pace in the 54. He slows on the backstretch and is going to make his way to the pits as Scott Hans in that points battle with Derek Griffin challenges him for 2nd in turn 4.
In front of your top 2 pointsmen is your leader, the 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia. Chase Elliott continuing to lead. Now Griffin looks to get away from the 72 of Hansen and looks to challenge the 9 of Elliott.
Derek Griffin closing on the 9 of Elliott, still keeping that 1 car length distance between the 2. Hans has fallen back a little bit, and one thing about Scott Hans, he's always excellent for a couple of laps after a restart. One of the best on restarts, the 72 of Hans.
7 of Jason Deach back on the pit road. He is several laps down as Chase Elliott continues to lead the number 9. Derek Griffin 2nd, Scott Hansen 3rd, Josh Vadnais and 4th, and now Boris Yurkovic back in the top 5.
Behind Yurkovic, he sees Rick Turner in his mirror. The 26 car running 6th, Kennedy 7th, Nasse 8th, Kenseth is 9th, and 10th, the 11 of Jeff Lane.
The 8-11 of Mason Mingus at 11. Those are the cars on the lead lap.
A lot of top-notch competitors out there right now, Matt. This could be a race that has a lot of long green flag runs, barring any sprinkles or anything like that that might cause a few brief delays during the action. Is some rain. You heard Scott Neal mention that maybe some rain in the area, a storm coming. Not a big storm, maybe just some light rain over the next hour or so. Hopefully to move out like the one did earlier, cause just a brief caution period.
As Chase Elliott crosses the start-finish line, completing lap 164, 37 laps away from lap 201, which will be past the halfway point of the 40th running of the Winchester 400.
For the 3rd position, White Bear Lake, Minnesota driver Josh Vadnais looking to the low side of the Hurricane Scott Hans.
Chase Elliott putting some distance between himself and the number 4 of Derek Griffin. Hans and Vadnais continue to battle for 3rd. Behind them, Boris Yurkovic in the 53, Rick Turner, the 26, battling for 5th.
For Derek Griffin, it's not been much today where anyone on the track looks stronger than that number 4 car, but during this green flag run, Elliott is pulling away from the Greenfield, Indiana driver. Griffin slipping back to nearly a half straightaway behind.
This time by working on lap 167 of the 400, the scheduled distance of the 40th running of the Winchester 400. Derek Griffin comfortably in 2nd spot. Scott Hans has disposed of Josh Vadnais. He is solidly in 3rd, trying to reel in the number 4 of Griffin for 2nd.
168 laps complete for Chase Elliott, and now he looks to have the strongest car on the raceway. A little bit of action going on at the tail end of our top 5. Rick Turner holds the 5th position, Yurkovic 6th, Kennedy 7th, 8th Nasse, and 9th is Kenseth, and Ross Kenseth making a move for the 8th position.
Jeff Lane rounding out that top 10 as Damon Eckhoff pulling back on the track in the number 15 machine. He is several laps down. But up front, it continues to be Chase Elliott and the number 9 machine continuing to show the way around the historic half-mile high banks here in Winchester, Indiana.
30 laps from the halfway mark as the Aaron's number 9 of Elliott leads the way across the line. 171 on the board. Matt Prier at Animaki, the action here on Speed51.com and in the fans in the stands at Winchester Speedway. A packed grandstand today, seeing the Winchester 400.
And we certainly appreciate all the listeners on Speed51.com radio all over the world here listening to us from Winchester, Indiana, and they're listening to Chase Elliott as he continues to show the way in his efforts to repeat as Winchester 400 champion. Derek Griffin, though, not letting him stray too far out in front.
We saw the 81 of Fisher on pit road earlier under green. It took him a little while, but he came back out on the raceway. Word from his pit stall was maybe running over some debris and flattening the right rear and having some problems on that portion of the car. I think he went down a couple of laps, but he is back out on the raceway under this green flag run. Terry Fisher Jr. in the 81.
The 43 of Dennis Schoenfeld about to go another lap down. Tough race for Van Buren, Arkansas veteran. But this allows Derek Griffin to close the gap on the number 9 of Chase Elliott coming out of 4.
Griffin's car was consistent early. It was good on long runs, good on short runs. Well, it was good on every run. But here he slipped back in the early stages of this green flag run from Chase Elliott. Now he has closed the gap down to about 4 car lengths heading into turn number 3. Griffin in the second spot trying to get back to the front.
Man on the move is the number 25, Ross Kenseth, the Blaine's Farm and Fleet Ford out of Spring Valley, Illinois. He is up to 6. He's disposed of Stephen Nassy and the 53 of Boris Jurkovic. He's now in 6, trying to reel in the 5th place driver, the 26 of Rick Turner.
177 on the board. And off the pace on the bottom lane is Brian Ross. Ross letting the leaders and all of the cars go around to the outside. He's been in and out of the pits all afternoon, probably just trying to log some laps to pick up as many positions and move himself forward in the rundown. Car really not up to speed today, but it just out there logging some laps.
As we were talking about Brian Ross and the 40 machine, the 54 of Jeff Foltz has pulled into the infield, not on the pit road, went right into the back of the infield. Tough race for the Trauman, North Carolina driver.
Cars spread all the way around the high-banked half mile. Chase Elliott with a 4-car length lead on Derek Griffin in turns 3 and 4. They race to the line with 220 laps to go. And Chase Elliott and Derek Griffin turning very equal lap times right now. Really, Elliott's not pulling away, but Griffin isn't applying much pressure either in the number 4.
The 72 of Scott Hance comfortably in 3rd spot in that EMF Corporation machine. Some distance behind him, running in 4th, the 17 of Josh Vadnais. Rounding out the top 5 is the number 26 of Rick Turner, but Ross Kenseth trying to reel him in. The number 25, he's running in 6th.
Boris Jurkovic in the 53, Ben Kennedy in the 96, the 11 of Jeff Lane, the 81 of Fisher, all working by the 43 of Schoenfeld, who has gone down a lap again. Went down one early in the race, got the lucky dog, but now he's not on the lead circuit anymore. 183 complete for Chase Elliott, and Griffin is right there behind him in that 2-car breakaway. Back a straightaway to the 3-time series champion, Scott Hance. The 17 of Vadnais running in the 4th spot. And then Rick Turner in car number 26 is 5th.
The 111 of Peter Cozzolino looks to return to the racetrack as he makes his way down pit road. Jason Deach also returned to the track in the number 7 machine. He is several laps down, just logging laps, hoping to pick up a few more positions. And that Deach trailer sails forward.
See Ross Kenseth in the 25. He's picked up some spots in this green flag run since our last caution that resulted in pit stops for everyone. He started deep in the field for the green and has picked up some spots and 1 out of the top 5 right now as he closes on the 26 of Rick Turner.
Kenseth has made up a lot of real estate on the 26 of Rick Turner. He was nearly a full straightaway behind Turner just about 5 or 6 laps ago. He's made up all that distance and is now on the back bumper of the Y-Town Hustler.
Saw Jeff Lane in the 11 car move over to the inside lane on the front stretch. Was a little worried he might be having some mechanical issues, but he seems like he is up to speed. And that Ed Martin Auto Group number 11, not giving up much ground to Jurkovic and Kennedy, right in front of Terry Fisher Jr. and Jeff Lane.
Cars in front of your leaders as Brian Ross goes another lap down. Dennis Schoenfeld not finding any speed at all here this afternoon. He goes another lap down in that Schoenfeld header Chevrolet. A tough break, a tough day for the Van Buren, Arkansas driver.
One of the better cars right now is the Spring Valley, Illinois, Blaine's Farm and Fleet, number 25 of Ross Kenseth. He's in 6th. He is closed on Rick Turner. He's to within 2 car lengths of Turner heading into turn number 3. In the next lap or two, he will start to apply pressure for 5th.
That time by 190 laps completed, 10 laps to the halfway point, 11 laps to be over the halfway point as the 21 of Tommy St. John now on the pit road.
St. John has been looking for speed all weekend long. He's being sent to the pits, I think, for at least a stop-and-go penalty for not moving over after going down a circuit. The lap cars are to move to the inside lane for the lead lap cars, and he was not doing so, kind of bottling up the field at points in the CRA Super Series event.
Scott Hance has made a bold move out of 3 and 4 to the outside of Jason Leach before shooting to the inside of Jade Newick to put both those drivers in the lap car. That could have been disastrous for the Angola, Indiana driver.
I'll tell you what's amazing is the battle for the points right now with Griffin leading by 3 points. He's in 2nd with Hance 2nd in points, just 3 behind. He's running 3rd in the race. 1 position separates him. That's about all it's going to take to claim a championship here today.
Chase Elliott about to approach a whole bunch of lap cars in front of him. 2, 4, about 9 lap cars in front of the 9 of Chase Elliott.
84 of Jay Newick being sent to pit road as well for not obeying the commands to move over to the inside, was getting up in front of the lead lap cars, so Newick will be heading pit side soon.
Elliott approaching the 111 of Peter Cozzolino to put him another lap down. In front of Cozzolino is the 0 of Joe Beaver.
Trying to do a little rundown of our lead lap cars. Elliott leads, Griffin in 2nd as he goes around Joe Beaver. Running 3rd, way back to Scott Hance, a half track behind his Hance. Running 4th, Josh Vadnais. 5th is Ross Kenseth. 6th is Rick Turner. Stephen Nasse is 7th. In the 8th spot, Ben Kennedy. Jeff Lane 9th. Boris Jurkovic 10th. Mason Mingus 11th. Donnie Wilson right behind him. Of course, he was involved in a spin and a crash coming off of turn number 4 for the last yellow. And then back to the leader again, Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott completes lap 198, 2 laps away from the halfway point of this event. Derek Griffin losing some ground now on the number 9 of Elliott, but could make that back up. A whole bunch of lap traffic in front of your leaders.
Then trying to stay updated on the radar in front of us here for Winchester, Indiana. The rain moving to the north of us for most of the morning and afternoon, and coming off of turn number 4. Chase Elliott in heavy traffic will see the cross flags. Halfway, 200 laps in, 200 laps to go, and Elliott caught behind Donnie Wilson, Mason Mingus, and Boris Jurkovic. Wilson getting anxious. He's already a lap car. He's on the outside lane. Elliott moves by to the inside and now works on the last car on the lead lap, Mason Mingus.
Make it official, lap 201 in the books for the 40th running of the Winchester 400. As Elliott gets by Wilson, who'll go to work on the 811 of Mingus. Derek Griffin trying to follow him through in the number 4.
Mingus, how hard will he work to stay on the lead lap? It was not too long ago. He was the first car 1 lap down and received the lucky dog. He was able to stay ahead of Derek Griffin for a while. And speaking of Griffin, he's closing again on Chase Elliott as Elliott works behind Boris Jurkovic and Mason Mingus, trying to put those drivers a lap down.
22 of Scott Whitehouse returned to the Speedway, but he is well off the pace in the number 22 machine. In the meantime, up front, Elliott on the back bumper of Mason Mingus, but now he's got a rear mirror full of the 4 Griffin.
What was that? Chase Elliott to the inside of Mason Mingus heading down the front stretch, and Mingus is now down the circuit. There was, it looked like, a little bit of contact from Chase Elliott as the lead duo works by Mingus down the backstretch into 3, and now the last car on the lead lap is one of our front runners, Boris Jurkovic, car number 53.
Halfway around the racetrack, Scott Hance running in third. Now he's got a bumper full of Ross Kenseth, who got by Josh Vadnais for that 4th spot. Shuffling Vadnais back to 5th. Rick Turner is 6th. Stephen Nasse is 7th.
And Jurkovic now down the circuit. He's the first car 1 lap down. Boris Jurkovic will stay on the high side, and it is the 4 of Griffin moving by to the inside. Griffin still in second, not too far out. He's within striking distance of the leader, Chase Elliott, as he has been for much of this green flag run. I think Elliott just a tad bit quicker.
9 cars remaining on the lead lap. Your 9th place car is the 11 of Jeff Lane, who's a full straightaway ahead of your leader, Chase Elliott.
Scott Hance has slowed some in the 72 car. He ran 3rd for much of this run. He has that spot taken away from him by the 25 of Ross Kenseth, who may be the quickest car on the track. Kenseth and the 25 picking them off one at a time after the last pit stop.
Up front, Chase Elliott continues to lead in the number 9, Derek Griffin, following his tire tracks all around this half mile here in eastern Indiana. You gotta go nearly a half a track before you get to the 3rd place driver, the 25 of Ross Kenseth.
Battle for that lucky dog position between Mason Mingus and Boris Jurkovic. Mingus able to work by to the inside, and though they're not on the lead lap, that could be important. If they get a yellow, that's the battle for the first car 1 lap down. Mingus has taken it away from Jurkovic.
The 21 of Tommy St. John goes down another lap as Elliott clicks off lap 211 of this event. The 22 of Scott Whitehouse about to go another lap down.
Jurkovic has his hands full in the 53. I watched him go through turns 1 and 2 on the bottom. The car was really free sideways as he exited turn number 2. Car still rolling around the Winchester Speedway. Leading Chase Elliott, secondary Griffin. Our last 2 green flag runs have been extremely long. These drivers know all about how their car will react on long runs today after having that big pile up in the early stages of the race.
No doubt about it as Chase Elliott goes around Dennis Schoenfeld. Derek Griffin trying to keep pace with a 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia, as Elliott in search of his 2nd consecutive Winchester 400 victory. $214 on the board for Chase Elliott. It was all Griffin in the first 100 and the second 100 today. It's been all Chase Elliott. Now, at least for the last 100 or so since that pit stop that shuffled Griffin back in the field a little bit. And pit stops very important. And of course, Chase Elliott has the best of the best when it comes to pit crews. I'm sure they have some pretty good help there. A lot of practice with their team, though Griffin's crew did a nice job. He got held up a little bit by the car pitting in front of him. And that was the 11 of Jeff Lane. Some contact made between a couple of the crew members, one from Griffin's, one from Lane's crew, as they both collided and down they went on pit road.
Lead pack coming across the line, the 9 of Elliott, several car lengths ahead of Derek Griffin. Next car to possibly go down the circuit would be a former series champion and a driver that qualified 4th this weekend, Knightstown, Indiana's Jeff Lane. Lane has not been really up to speed under this green flag run. He still has a straightaway advantage over the leader, Chase Elliott, but another 10-15 laps and he's in danger of going down a lap.
As your 3rd place driver, Ross Kenseth, crosses the start-finish line, Chase Elliott and Derek Griffin are making their way through 3 and 4. So Elliott and Griffin turning some impressive laps here around the half mile.
Boy, a big pack of cars, a wreck waiting for a place to happen. Scott Hance leading Jurkovic, the 17 car of Vadnais, the 26 of Turner, the 51 of Nasse, the 81 of Fisher, and the 96 of Kennedy, all in that pack. And following them around is Jeff Lane in the 11, who still has over a half straightaway cushion before the leader catches him.
22 of Scott Whitehouse back on pit road as Elliott continues to navigate around the half mile. Some 4 or 5 seconds in front of him is the 11 of Jeff Lane.
51 of Nassy dropped to the bottom. He's a lead lap car. The 84 car of Niewick has moved over to the inside for him, but Nassy got caught on the bottom. He's going to lose a few positions yet on the lead lap as he falls towards the tail end of the lead lap. Nassy now will go 3 wide coming off of turn number 2 and will get by going into 3. So Niewick did the right thing there. He moved over to the bottom, but Nassy was already caught on the inside.
Almost was 3 wide going into turns 3 and 4 between Nassy and Lane and Niewick.
Elliott's lead stabilizing, but maybe gaining a little bit here and there. 15 car lengths, the advantage over the number 4 of Griffin. Griffin definitely better on that first set of tires that he started the race with. And as I continue to watch the radar, we've dodged a lot of bullets in this little cell that is a little bit to the north of Winchester. We may get fortunate and just clip the edge at the most.
Well, we are past the halfway point, so this race is official no matter what. With Chase Elliott continuing to show the way. The number 9 machine, Garrett Griffin, riding second, and Elliott about to approach that big, long line of cars.
Man, will he have his work cut out for him. The youngster will have to use some patience. He knows all about that racing and a lot of big lap races over the last few years, including his win at the 400 last year. Chase Elliott working around Niewick and Ross. And now he's got a little bit of a cushion before he finds the last car on the lead lap, Stephen Nassy. I think Jeff Lane has picked it up a little bit, trying to stay on the lead lap. Lane has made a move around Nassy. He's really challenging Ben Kennedy, the Daytona Beach, Florida driver now, as he tries to give himself some room before maybe getting pressure from Elliott to go a lap down.
7th, 8th, 9th running together. The 96 of Ben Kennedy, the 11 of Jeff Lane, the 51 of Stephen Nassy, and about 2 seconds behind them is your leader, the 9 of Chase Elliott.
Elliott closing on that big pack of cars, easily gets around the 21 car of Tommy St. John. But in a lap or two, he will close on the back of that huge pack. He continues to extend his lead over Griffin. But right now, Griffin might have a chance to close back in whenever Elliott catches that huge pack. Again, those are drivers at the tail end of the lead lap, so they're going to be allowed to stay up in the racing groove, trying to stay on the tail end of the lead lap. As soon as they go a lap down, they are told to go to the bottom. That helps Derek Griffin, who's in second.
No doubt about it. And as you mentioned before, Adam, Chase Elliott, the 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia, is going to get a real big test in patience with this whole plethora of lap traffic in front of him.
Damon Eckhoff, the Greenfield, Indiana driver's off the pace, and he heads to pit road. To the pits, the 15 of Damon Eckhoff, the winner of our late model sportsman event last night. Elliott still has yet to catch the pack of cars in front of him, the 51 of Stephen Nassy, fighting for his lead lap life. And he's really free right in the middle of the turn. The car washed out from under him a little bit. He held on to it. Lane's in front of him. Kennedy, Fisher, and Turner there. Fisher, the only one of those not on the lead lap.
Chase Elliott makes his way out of turn number 4, complete lap 233. As he's now approaching the back bumper, the 51 of Stephen Nassy, while negotiating around the 811 of Mason Mingus.
234 laps complete as Whitehouse comes to pit road again. 234 complete at the stripe right now for Chase Elliott. It's back nearly a straightaway now to the number 4 car of Derek Griffin. I'd say just over a half straightaway over the South Bend, Indiana driver in the number 4 ride.
Way back in 3rd spot. Ross Kenseth in the middle of the backstretch as Chase Elliott makes his way through turns 1 and 2. Kenseth running in 3rd right now as Elliott on the back bumper of Nassy.
Brian Ross sounds like he comes by the front straightaway at about half throttle. He's all by himself right now, just logging some laps. See how far he can get up. Remember, he went off the track really early in the race, kept coming out time and time again to put some more laps on the board here and there. Be interesting to see where he finishes today in the 400.
Kenseth is 3rd, Scott Hance is 4th, Josh Fadden is 5th, Rick Turner 6th, Ben Kennedy 7th, Jeff Lane 8th, Stephen Nassy 9th. Those are the 9 cars on the lead lap, and Nassy's rear view mirror is full of the number 9 of Chase Elliott.
Have to have a good attention span and stay focused. These long green flag runs today. We've had more long green flag runs in this race than maybe we normally see in a 400. The 17 of Vadnais was right up along the outside retaining wall in turns 1 and 2 that time. Car is okay, continues on. He's several car lengths back from Scott Hance. Vadnais running 5th.
is showing some patience as he follows the tire tracks of the 51 of Stephen Nassy. In front of Nassy, a battle continues on between the 96 of Ben Kennedy, the 11 of Jeff Lane.
I don't think with as well as that number 4 car of Griffin was running earlier that they made any adjustments, but just the difference in maybe the set of tires they have, not as good on this run, and Elliott is better. Chase Elliott is right behind Turner, Fisher, Kennedy, Lane, and Nassy. 4 of those 5 cars on the lead lap, and Elliott starts to challenge, trying to put more drivers down his circuit with 241 laps complete. He has a huge gap build up on the 4 of Griffin, who has not closed the distance at all. Trouble in turn number 2. 53 car of Boris Jurkovic has spun on his own and brings out the yellow. Caution out for the 53 of Boris Jurkovic. A spin, a solo car spin as he ran around the low side in turn number 2.
The 26 of Turner, the 96 of Kennedy, the 11 of Lane, and 51 of Nassy all just breathed a huge sigh of relief as Chase Elliott was right on their back bumper. Now with his caution out, they can make up all that real estate.
Drivers a second pit stop. Let's see if Griffin can come out of the pits a little stronger this time and have a better run. He was still second, but man, Elliott was laying down some good laps. Last year's winner in the 9 goes to his pit stall, and it's left side tires for the Aaron's number 9 of Chase Elliott. Griffin going to the right side of his car. Right side tires for the Seal Wrap Repair Tape number 4. Rick Turner, the left side of his Great Deal Savings Magazine car, going into the air. And for Jeff Lane, same for him. Left side tires, an adjustment on the right rear, maybe pulling or putting in a spring rubber.
Elliott gets off and he's on his way. 72 of Hans is on his way. 25 Kenseth on his way. Now with the 4 Griffin on his way. Griffin will fall back to 4th. Nassy moves up a few spots. He looks like he'll possibly get 5th. No, Vadnais will move up ahead of him.
Oh, off of pit road, Chase Elliott leads the field of cars that went to the pit. Scott Hans comes off second. 25 of Kenseth rolling off third. The 4 of Griffin rolling off in 4th. The 17 of Vadnais rolling off 5th. And it's Nassy 6th, Turner 7th, Kennedy 8th, Lane and 9th.
Right now, we're at working 245. 245 laps are in the books. 155 laps remaining.
250 complete, 150 to go, 149 left in this race at the stripe as Hans and Elliott bring him to green. Some contact between Hans on the inside lane and Griffin on the outside as Hans slid up the banking a little bit and was clipped, just barely clipped, by the number 4 of his points contender, Derek Griffin.
Griffin and Kenseth battle for that 3rd spot as Chase Elliott continues to lead. Scott Hans riding in 2nd. As you mentioned earlier, Adam, he's awfully quick on those restarts in that 72.
Kenseth, the 25, up to 3rd. He's gotten by Derek Griffin. That's about as far back as we've seen Griffin all afternoon. Behind him, the 51 of Nassy and the 17 of Vadnais. Oh, they were running close right at the finish line. They then separate themselves from one another in a battle for 5th. Nassy in the number 5 position. Vadnais in 6th. Kennedy follows in 7th. And then Jeff Lane, Rick Turner right behind him.
Chase Elliott continues to lead the number 9, but Scott Hans not letting the 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia, stray too far out in front. Hans now working on the back bumper of Elliott. He'll take a peek to the inside coming out of 4.
The EMF Corporation. Indiana Wire Assemblies number 72 of Scott Hans has won 28 CRA Super Series races in his career. Wow, and as I talk about Hans, Ben Kennedy, one of our last cars on the lead lap, really got loose coming out of 2, and Kennedy nearly wadded it up but gets back up to speed without any damage.
Elliott and Hans continue to battle for that top spot. Ross Kenseth a little ways back, running in 3rd. Derek Griffin in 4th. Now Stephen Nassy making an appearance in the top 5. He's running in 5th.
2-car breakaway as Hans has followed Elliott at the front of the pack over the first few laps on the restart. Elliott leading by a car length over Hans. Elliott running a little bit of a higher lane than the Angola, Indiana driver. Elliott stronger on the straight chutes, but Hans is rolling the middle of the corner well.
Completing lap 258. 258 laps are in the books. 142 to go. It is Chase Elliott looking to become a repeat champion of the Winchester 400, but Angola, Indiana veteran Scott Hans not letting him get up too far out in front.
Side-by-side battle for the number 5 position. Oh, Vadnais up the banking, and he and Nassi get together a bit on the front stretch. Vadnais able to close the door on the front straightaway. Nassi didn't have much choice but to let off a little bit.
That allows Jeff Lane to go to the inside, the number 11 machine. He'll take the position away from Nassi.
260 on the board. Chase Elliott leads. He's been strong since a yellow came out and pit stops were made around the lap 160 mark. So the last 100's been all Chase Elliott. His pit crew has done an outstanding job and getting him out early on the caution periods here early today.
Derek Griffin underneath Ross Kenseth. Give third spot to Griffin as he gets by the Spring Valley, Illinois driver. He'll now set his sights on the top 2 drivers.
So Griffin back up to third after falling to the tail end of the top 5. Derek Griffin, the seal wrap repair tape number 4, in third. They are back half a straightaway to the 72 of Hans. He is fading from the 9 car of Chase Elliott. So the challenge was there for a few laps after the restart, but now Elliott's car staying strong and Hans's car fading a little bit.
Back in the 5th position, the 17 of Josh Vadnais. The 11 of Jeff Lane is running 6. 51 of Stephen Nassi. Shuffled back to 7th. Oh, trouble in turn number 2. Rick Turner got all kinds of sideways. 96 of Ben Kennedy checks up and he turns it around in turn number 2.
Kennedy would like to get his car rolling as quickly as possible and try to stay on the lead lap if he can. As Elliott's coming around, 96 is moving, so I think he will stay on the lead lap. So Kennedy will be able to go past the pace truck and stay on the lead lap. The 9 of Elliott is your leader. Short green flag run that time, just as Elliott was starting to build up his lead and pull away from Scott Hans.
811 call before you dig Chevrolet out of Brentwood, Tennessee.
To the pits, Chase Elliott again. Will he come out first? Of the drivers that pit, he has the first 2 times, has made his way onto pit road. He goes to his pit stall, the crew starts to work. Derek Griffin in his stall. Left side tires on Griffin's car. Right side tires on Elliott's. Right side tires on the 25 of Ross Kenseth. The right side jacked up on the Ed Martin Auto Group number 11 of Lane.
Elliott stalled the number 9 machine, but Turner's going to get ahead of him. So does Griffin. Chase Elliott stalled once the jack was let down. That allowed a couple cars to get ahead of Elliott.
Pretty tight quarters there, and just that little bit of a stall in the pit stall for the number 9 of Elliott helps the 26 of Turner and the number 4 of Derek Griffin to get out in front of Elliott. Scott Hans and Derek Griffin will move to turn number 4. The field starts to pick up the pace a little bit. They roll into the 4th corner. The green is out. They're back underway, and Scott Hans goes out front. Griffin drops into the 2nd spot. Stephen Nassi in 3rd. Elliott to the inside in 4th, and Kenseth 5th.
When they come out turns 3 and 4, they'll work on kickoff. Lap 273. Scott Hans, your leader for the first time this afternoon. Derek Griffin running in 2nd.
Stephen Nassi had his hands full in the 51 car. He bobbled a bit up in 3 and 4. It allows Hans, it allows Griffin to pull away, and we got some trouble in turn 2. Joe Beaver in the 0, Jay Newick in the 84 get together, and caution. Again, Waves with a problem in turn number 2.
Tough break for Newick, the 18-year-old out of Cutlerville, Michigan, on the west side of the state of Michigan. As well as the number 0, the Tim's Heating Chevrolet out of Noblesville, Indiana, Joe Beaver in the 0, and Beaver with some damage once again to that right front of that machine.
Pace truck dropping to the low side of the field, racing around the truck down in 3 and 4. Green is back out. Scott Hans, Derek Griffin, Chase Elliott, Stephen Nassi into turn number 1. Battle for 5th between Lane and Kenseth.
Rick Turner right behind them in the 26, and Josh Vadnais immediately going to work. He's already back up to 8th. He started 10th in this last restart.
Chase Elliott said the driver to watch is Scott Hans. He thinks he's the driver to beat. If he's going to find victory today, it's going to be the 72, but Griffin looks strong again in the seal wrap repair tape 4. Most of these cars have good tires on both sides, on all 4 corners now. And right now, Hans leads lap 281, but Griffin is right there and very close to contact in turn 1. Griffin to the bottom on the backstretch.
Griffin and Hans duking it out for the lead. Hans on the outside, Griffin on the inside. They make their way out of turn number 4. Hans leads barely at that lap by.
Scott Hans now protecting the bottom a little bit as Griffin goes to the high side. Their single file formation off of turn number 2. To the inside into turn 3. Hans protects in the third corner. Up the banking goes Griffin. Their single file, but close in turn 4.
Chase Elliott with the best seat in the house. The number 9 machine watching this battle in front of him between the 72 of Scott Hans, the 4 of Derek Griffin.
The lead pack of lead lap cars nose to tail. I think the top 8 nose to tail. The other 2 lead lap cars, Kennedy and Mingus, back a few car lengths, and it might not be a bad thing right now as Griffin has taken over the lead. Hans has dropped into second.
Griffin, a great move around the outside. The number 4 machine takes over that top spot. Scott Hansen second, falling into the clutches of the number 9 of Chase Elliott.
Scott Hans pulling a Mark Martin type move right there, moving over the veteran driver, saying, I don't need to race this early. Still a long way to go over a normal distance race of 115 laps yet on the board to finish this Winchester 400, and Griffin leads lap 286.
Chase Elliott all over the back bumper of the 72 of Scott Hans. Hans got away there momentarily, but now Elliott making up some real estate in the backstretch.
Chase Elliott looking high and dropping low in the middle of 3 and 4. Hans in second, but maybe not for long. The young Dawsonville, Georgia driver to the inside, signed by Hendrick Racing this past summer in a developmental deal. Moving to the K&N E Series, has taken over second. Chase Elliott, the runner-up.
Scott Hans falls back to the third. Stephen Nassy in fourth. Battle for fifth between the 25 of Ross Kenseth, the 11 of Jeff Lane. As Griffin, your leader, Elliott trying to reel him in.
Lane's been hanging around on the lead lap all day long. Car looking pretty good, but he and Kenseth in a battle at the tail end of the top 5 behind Stephen Nassy's 51.
The 82 of Donnie Wilson on pit road. Tough break for the Oklahoma City, Oklahoma driver. Up front, Derek Griffin trying to pull away from the number 9 of Chase Elliott, but Elliott not letting him stray too far out in front.
110 laps to go in the number 4 of Derek Griffin, putting down some good laps again. Clear sailing distance ahead. He goes around the 22 of Scott Whitehouse, who's making another trip to pit road, and the battle between Jeff Lane and Ross Kenseth for the number 5 position continues.
Telltale signs of smoke coming from the 84 of Jay Newick. You watch him going into 3, not so much that time, but it definitely was present going into turns 1 and 2.
He has some body damage on the right front. Not sure if maybe it's a tire rub somewhere on the race car. Some damage on the left front as well. Just a tight bit of smoke coming out of that number 84 car. Looks like he might be okay as he tries to make it to the finish, as Lane has dropped back the position from Kenseth and now challenged by the 26 of Rick Turner.
Griffin gets by the 21 of Tommy St. John as well as the 40 of Brian Ross. He'll go to work on the 111 of Peter Cozzolino to put him a lap down. Chase Elliott trying to follow him through with the number 9.
Hornet's nest of cars in turn number 3, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Nose to tail and side by side. Spring Valley, Illinois driver Ross Kenseth to the bottom of Stephen Nassy in turn 2.
Working on lap 295, Derek Griffin, the seal wrap repair tape Toyota, continues to lead. The Aaron's Dream Machine, Dawsonville, Georgia's Chase Elliott riding in second spot.
I like what I see from that 25 of Kenseth. He's been able to work the bottom groove. 3 wide off of turn number 2 on the back stretch, heading to 3, and Hans will check up and say, I don't want none of that. And then Turner and Badness get together in corners 3 and 4. Caution is out. Rick Turner should be okay. So should Badness. A spin for Rick Turner in the Great Deals Coupon Magazine 26. They bunched up going into the 3rd turn. Scott Hans was in the middle of a sandwich of cars on the back straightaway and says, you know what? I do not want to be part of this. He checked up going into 3, and then a couple cars behind him got together. Rick Turner also coming to the pits. Ben Kennedy and Mason Mingus for Hans. Left side tire change on his car. Kennedy right side tires. We haven't talked a lot about Ben Kennedy today, but he has stayed on the lead lap in the top 10, and he is still a threat this afternoon. The 26 of Turner leaves his pit stall, so does Hans. The 811 of Mingus, right side tires on his car for the series rookie. 4th in the standings coming in, and he's back towards the racetrack. The 9. of Chase Elliott on the inside, the 4 of Derek Griffin on the outside. The field starts to pick it up going into turn number 3. They roll to turn number 4. The green is out, and we are back underway.
Kenseth getting by Chase Elliott on that last restart, and now he's on the back bumper, the number 4 of Derek Griffin.
Lap number 305 is back in the field. Mason Mingus runs the bottom of Scott Hans. Couple of drivers on the lead lap, a veteran and a rookie. Mingus picks up the spot. Hans's car has not been good here as of late. He's lost a few positions despite a pit stop recently.
Josh Vadnais in 4th, Stephen Nasse 5th, Jeff Lane 6th, Rick Turner 7th, Mason Mingus up to 8th, Scott Hans 9th, Ben Kennedy in 10th. Your top 3 are Griffin, Kenseth, and Elliott.
Oh, Hans off the pace going into turn 3. He checked up early going into the 3rd corner. Hans is definitely having some issues. Scott Hans in the EMF Corporation 72 off the pace into the wall in turns 3 and 4. The number 7 car of Jason Deach.
Deach for the 2nd time this afternoon up against the wall. And the Deach trailer sails forward out of Edgerton, Ohio. Tough break for the former USA Modified Series champion.
Into his pit stall, and the hood will come up on the EMF Corporation number 72. Derek Griffin, Ross Kenseth, Chase Elliott. For Griffin right now, this might make him think the only thing he has to worry about is the race. That's, of course, if Hans doesn't come back out on the track. You see they fired it up. You could see smoke come out of the exhaust. They put the hood back on. And now they take the hood off, and he will come back out.
In an effort to remain on the lead lap of that EMF Corporation number 72. The crew will go back to work on that machine once he makes his way back on the pit road, but definitely do not want to lose a lapper and lose a chance at winning this Winchester 400. Well, Peter Cozzolino back on pit road. A tough afternoon for the driver of the McDonald's Restaurants Ford out of Indianapolis, Indiana, as we get ready to go back green this time by.
Kenseth on the inside, and on the outside is Griffin. They pick up the pace. Good restart off of turn number 4. We are underway now. 3:18 on the board, and Griffin into the top spot. Kenseth follows him into the 2nd position, side by side for 3rd. Vadnais on the outside, Elliott on the low side, and Jeff Lane into the top 5.
Vadnais makes the pass for 3rd. Jeff Lane trying to follow through. He'll take 4th spot away from Chase Elliott.
Chase Elliott now will go back up into the preferred groove. Hans's 72 car looks to be back up to speed, so the crew did find the problem on the 72. He's caught in heavy traffic, though, at the tail end of the lead lap.
320 laps completed. 80 laps remain in the 40th running of the Winchester 400. Derek Griffin out in front. Ross Kenseth 2nd. Josh Vadnais in 3rd.
Scott Hans to the inside of Rick Turner. They are side by side. Hans's car is smoking a little bit, and it looks like it must be something coming from the exhaust. Possibly the engine issues continuing for Scott Hans. His car still running fairly fast, but points contender Scott Hans with some pretty heavy smoke coming out of the EMF Corporation 72.
Well, Hans with nothing left to lose here at this point in this race. He's going after a championship, his 4th career CRA Super Series championship. So Hans going all out in that number 72.
And Hans right now being told to bring it to pit road. Too much smoke coming out of that car to leave it on the raceway, and it doesn't seem to be getting any better. Hans's 72 car letting some heavy smoke out of the ride. Leading is Griffin, and he's pulling away from the rest of the field. 10-car length advantage over the 25 of Ross Kenseth.
And series officials telling the 72 to go to the pits. The black flag displayed to the Angola, Indiana driver. And you can see the seal wrap repair tape team over there. They are one happy bunch right now.
If Hans falls out of this event, Griffin would clinch the championship. Hans stays out on the raceway. Black flag displayed again, and now he does drop to the bottom. Hans will allow the other cars to go around. A terrible break for Angola's Scott Hans. He thought something dropped in the engine right before the last caution where Jason Deach hit the wall, and he wasn't wrong. The car is now smoking heavily. Something in the engine letting go, though it was still running strong. Griffin's lead at about 12 car lengths, heading to turn 3.
Ross Kenseth riding 2nd to 25. Josh Vadnais 3rd to 17. The veteran Jeff Lane in 4th spot in the 11 with a bumper full of the 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia, Chase Elliott.
Mason Mingus on the outside. Scott Hance saying that he has lost fourth gear, so maybe a transmission issue in the 72 car.
Behind Elliott, who's running in fifth. The 51 of Stephen Nasty is sixth. The 811 of Mason Mingus benefiting from a few lucky dogs. He's in seventh spot in the 811. Ben Kennedy is eighth. Rick Turner ninth, and reappearing in the top 10, the 53 of Boris Yurkovic.
Side by side for a lead lap spot just out of the top 5. The 811 of Mason Mingus racing with the 51 of Stephen Nasty. Teenage drivers racing side by side in turn 3.
The 16-year-old Nasty on the outside. The 16-year-old Mingus on the inside. They battle for that 6th spot. Up front, it's the 19-year-old Derek Griffin leading the field through turns 3 and 4, completing lap 331.
Also saying maybe an oil line broken on the 72 car of Scott Hance there. He's directing his team where to find the caps to cap off the line that might be busted. It's the 9 of Elliott running to the low side of Jeff Lane in 3 and 4.
Elliott to the inside, give 4th spot to the 15-year-old from Dawsonville, Georgia. Now he'll try to reel in the 17 of Josh Vadnais, who's currently running in 3rd. Ross Kennedy in 2nd. Your leader, the 4, Derek Griffin.
Said that there was a fitting loose on a line on Scott Hance's car. He mentioned a problem with the transmission, but the car was still up to speed, so it seemed to be running okay.
Battle for 3rd ensuing between the 17 of Josh Vadnais, the 9 of Chase Elliott. Scott Hance to return to the track in the number 72.
Yeah, he said that a fitting came loose. He's going to be several laps down, obviously. Hance coming back towards the racetrack, but still huge. If he can finish this race, we got trouble in turn 4. Stephen Nasty, his car badly damaged. The 51 of Stephen Nasty badly damaged on the right side. Mingus in the 811. We saw those two battling, two young drivers in our field, and both with heavy damage, and the cars both nearly demolished. 811 of Mingus still rolling. Nasty's car not so much, stopped at the end of pit road.
That was a battle for 6 between a pair of 16-year-olds coming out of turn number 4. Both cars heavily damaged. Tough break for Mingus, the 16-year-old out of Brentwood, Tennessee, as well as the fellow 16-year-old Stephen Nasty, out of Pinellas Park, Florida. Both drivers look to be more than likely done for the night, although Mingus is rolling on the pit road with 2 right side flat tires.
Muncie and came across on top of us. As we are ready for green, we have a window. We should be able to make it to the finish. Derek Griffin leads the field with Kenseth on the low side.
Green flag flies. We're back underway here at Winchester Speedway. And just like you said, Adam, Chase Elliott working the outside groove. Boris Yurkovic working the outside as well.
And Chase Elliott, as you've mentioned this weekend, goes around the outside into the 2nd spot. Following him is Kenseth, now in 3rd. The 53 of Yurkovic is running forward.
Josh Vadnais running 5th. Battle for 6th now as Ben Kennedy slips back to 6th, now falling into the grass. The 26 of Rick Turner.
Turner's been kind of quiet today. He had that one spin a little while ago, but has stayed on the lead lap. Tucks right up underneath the rear bumper of Josh Vadnais. 1 spot out of the top 5. If Rick Turner makes the top 5, the post race will go a little extra long. He has some long interviews. He likes to talk.
Here comes Boris Yurkovic in the 53 car underneath Ross Kenseth for 3rd. He's got the point there of the start-finish line, but Kenseth working his way back on the outside. Oh, he got way sideways coming out of 2.
Yeah, Kenseth's car really free exiting turn 2 that time. Makes you wonder if the setup's going away. Maybe a tire starting to equalize on the 25 of Ross Kenseth. 350 complete, 50 laps to go for the number 4 of Derek Griffin. 7 car lengths. His advantage over Elliott and Kenseth is dropping back quickly.
7/8 of the way through the Winchester 400, now completing lap 351. Whatever changes they made, or whatever happened to Kenseth, he is falling back like a rock in the number 25.
Kenseth probably hoping for a yellow pretty soon. He would like to come to the pits and I'm sure adjust that car. He's having some issues. Not sure whether he has any tires available to him in the pits. They have a tire limit this weekend in the Super Series race at Winchester 400. And Derek Griffin's lead kind of equalizing. The 9 of Elliott might be reeling him in just a little bit.
19-year-old Derek Griffin out in front of the number 4. 15-year-old Chase Elliott riding second in the number 9. Combine their ages, it still doesn't eclipse the 40-year-old Boris Yurkovic running in third in a 53.
And Yurkovic found himself a few laps down earlier. His car was really off the pace, but not right now. It's pretty strong in the third position. Boris Yurkovic looking for a really good finish today after a struggle in the mid part of today's event.
Y-Town hustler Rick Turner now up to 4th in a 26. Josh Vadden to shuffle back to 5th in a 17. But up front, Derek Griffin continuing to show the way in the number 4. 3:55 in the books, 45 to go, and here comes Chase Elliott.
25 of Kenseth pit side, and they mentioned the right side tires might have been the problem. And he has made a pit stop and changed the right side, so obviously some issues for Kenseth there. He's going to go down a circuit or two under this green flag pit stop. Griffin's lead still about 7 to 10 car lengths over Chase Elliott.
Boris Yurkovic continues to lurk back there in that final podium position in third as the laps continue to click off. 43 laps remaining in the 40th running of the Winchester 400.
Griffin and Elliott putting down some fast laps in the latter stages of the event. Griffin was really strong over the first 150, but had to come in to make his first pit stop. After that, he ran around the second and third spot for a while and has since found himself out front again. And when he's out front, he's been tough to catch or pass today. I don't know that he has been passed this afternoon. If it was just for a brief moment for about the third spot at one point after a restart and a pit stop. 3:59 on the board.
Approaching 40 laps to go in this event. Griffin continues to lead. Elliott second, Yurkovic third, Turner fourth, battle for fifth. Between the 17 of Josh Vadden and the 96 of Ben Kennedy.
Elliott reeling in the number 4 of Griffin just slightly. He's looking to make it back-to-back wins in Winchester 400s. However, Derek Griffin looking for his first ever CRA Super Series win. Wants this one bad. He knows that he needs to finish though too, because Scott Hance is still out there riding around the inside lane right with Jeff Lane in the 11.
Griffin trying to hang on. He's already got the Rookie of the Year title pretty much sewn up. Trying to hang on for the championship. Trying to hang on for the win in the Winchester 400. Could be the biggest day in the history of Welch and Wilson Motorsports.
Welch and Wilson Motorsports starting a year or two ago there. Tommy St. John, their first driver. Then Griffin moved into the seat. They've had Tyler Rourke behind the wheel of a team car, as well as C.J. Leary at times, and that 4 of Griffin has been strong all season long, a numerous top 5-time finisher, and he leads Chase Elliott on the final 36 laps.
Griffin carefully negotiates around a couple of lap cars. Elliott follows him through as they go into 3 and 4.
35 laps to go, 3:65 on the board. 15 of Eckhoff, allowing the 84 of Newick to go by to the inside. Couple of cars down laps, 15 of Eckhoff lets him go, then drops back to the bottom. The 111 of Cozzolino, a battle-damaged 111, goes to the outside. Running third behind them, the 53 of Yurkovic. He is a straightaway behind the lead 2. Running fourth is Kennedy, and running fifth is Rick Turner.
Behind Turner, running in 6th spot, is 17 of Josh Vadden, is 7th, the 11 of Jeff Lane.
Hance's car mentioned it's running fine, no smoke coming from his ride. They said they had a loose fitting or something on the 72, and Hance still riding around, running strong, but several laps down. And if Hance finishes and Griffin would have problems, Hance might take the championship back away from the 4 of Griffin. Closing on the final 30 laps, 3:69 at the stripe this time.
Ross Kenseth is running in the 8th spot. He is 2 laps off the pace, but would be in line for the Lucky Dog Award should another caution or 2 fly.
Kenseth up to speed after a pit stop for right side tires. Obviously had one of those tires going down after the previous restart. Rick Turner running 5th, but 6th, 7th right behind him. Vadnais and Jeff Lane challenging Rick Turner.
We mentioned Kenseth running in the 8th spot. 9th is the 81 of Terry Fisher Jr. He is 5 laps off the pace. Scott Hance completing the top 10 in the number 72. He is 8 laps off.
Jay Newick moving over for the 96 of Ben Kennedy on the front straightaway. Matt Prier and Adam Mackey bring you the action on speed51.com. And here to the fans in the stands at Winchester. 372 complete. The leaders within 2 car lengths of one another. Elliott not much faster, but he is just quick enough to keep the 4 of Griffin in striking distance. If Griffin makes any mistakes and has to check up, Elliott would shoot by.
Elliott following Griffin's tire tracks all around this big legendary half mile here in eastern Indiana. As the laps continue to click off, this time by 374 laps in. 26 laps remaining for the number 4 of Derek Griffin.
Another good green flag run we've seen today, several of those. Griffin and Elliott all by themselves in a 2-man pack at the front of the field, and Elliott being somewhat cautious, I think, leaving a car length or 2 between the two. He's rolling off of turn number 2 better than Derek Griffin is, and it's going to be a few laps before they catch any sort of lap traffic. Ross Kenseth next in front of them, a straightaway ahead.
Griffin and Elliott nose to tails. They go through turns 1 and 2. About a half a track behind them is your 3rd place driver, the 53 of Boris Jurkovic, who's now got Ben Kennedy all over him for that final podium position.
Griffin and Elliott across the line with 23 laps to go. Griffin's car looks like it might be getting a little bit tight middle of the corners. In 1 and 2, he checks up a little bit while Elliott keeps rolling through the middle a little bit smoother. In the Aaron's number 9, 22 laps to go at Winchester Speedway, and this 40th running of the Winchester 400 now down to a 22-lap shootout.
Oh, Griffin got a little sideways coming out of turn number 4. Forced Elliott to check up, but they're both right back on the gas as they go through some lap traffic, beginning with the 0 of Beaver, the 111 of Cozzolino.
As they go around the 2 slower cars, Elliott closed up to the rear bumper of Griffin. Those 2 lap cars, though, did move way down out of the way. But Griffin fighting some handling issues, maybe for the first time today, still setting a torrid pace, but the 9 of Elliott is there. Elliott dropping a little lower than Griffin coming off of turn number 2 with 20 to go, 19 at the stripe for the South Bend, Indiana rookie.
Elliott taking a peek to the inside, nothing doing. Griffin shutting the doors. They've got a gaggle of lap traffic in front of them.
Chase Elliott pulls alongside going into turn number 3. Griffin in the preferred groove as this side-by-side battle coming off of 4. Griffin holds on to lead lap 382, but it's go time. Go time for the leaders. Who will win the 40th running of the Winchester 400 with 17 to go at the stripe?
Elliott searching high, searching low, trying to figure out a way around your race-long leader, the 4 of Derek Griffin. And they click off lap 383.
A lot of times in the 400, it's not necessarily the fastest car that wins because of attrition. Maybe a good car falls out. This race, these 2 drivers have been at the front all day long. It was Griffin leading laps early in the race to about 150 when a caution waved and he had to pit. Then it was Elliott for the next 100+ laps, and then Griffin again. Right now, those 2 way ahead of the 3rd place car of Boris Jurkovic, who's getting a challenge from behind the 96 of Ben Kennedy.
The 26 of Rick Turner about to go down a lap. He's running 7th on the racetrack.
Rick Turner, the final car on the lead lap, moves over for the leaders. He got out of the way. He said, I do not want to be a part in costing one of these drivers a chance at a 400 win, though he had every right to try to defend his lead lap status. Turner moves over for Griffin and Elliott. 14 laps to go.
A very gentlemanly-like move by the number 26 of Turner, letting the leaders go as the leaders continue to duke it out for the title of the winner of the 40th running of the Winchester 400. 387 in the books.
Griffin's car still a little bit snug, it looks like, in the middle of 1 and 2. That's where Elliott picks up some distance and closes to the rear. He's looked to the inside a time or 2, maybe just trying to feel things out and set up a run later in the race. That later could be right now. Elliott looking low on Derek Griffin.
Griffin up in the preferred high groove, but Elliott making the inside groove work. They go into turns 3 and 4. Elliott decides to check up and go pull it back in behind the number 4 Griffin. Now he'll make another run out of 4.
11 to go. A lot of decent wins in the career for Derek Griffin. Maybe his biggest so far was the Stan Perry Memorial Outlaw late model race last year. But right now, the 4-car of Derek Griffin trying to win the Winchester 400 with Elliott right on his rear bumper would be definitely the biggest win of his career. Elliott won it a year ago.
10 laps to go that time by, working on 9 laps to go as the number 9 of Chase Elliott searching for a way around the number 4 of Derek Griffin. They go into 1 and 2.
Final 9 circuits. It was 9 to go at the line. Elliott has looked inside a couple of times, but the momentum hasn't been enough. They might have to rub a little bit of paint to make that move. It could get really hairy. That 3rd place car of Boris Jurkovic might be in a driver's seat, some half a track back. And again, Elliott dropped low a little bit on the front stretch.
Elliott to the inside of the number 4 of Griffin. They go into 3 and 4. Coming out of turn number 4, Griffin trying to hang on, and he does.
Griffin leads another lap, and Scott Hans is 8 laps back. There's only 7 to go. That means Griffin, no matter what happens, will finish ahead of Hans in this race and clinch the championship. His first career point championship. Griffin has clinched it. We have 6 laps to go for Derek Griffin in the 4. He has trying to hold off the 9 of Chase Elliott over the final 5.5 circuits.
Griffin's got the championship now in his back pocket. He had the Rookie of the Year title in his back pocket. Now he wants to complete the trifecta with a win in the Winchester 400. 5 laps to go for Derek Griffin.
And we got trouble on the backstretch. The 96 car of Ben Kennedy slides up on the back straightaway and just avoids the tower on the backstretch, and some folks started to move, but it was going to be too late. Fortunately, Kennedy able to get it slowed down and caution it out. 5-lap shootout. Oh boy, this is not what Derek Griffin wanted to see. Pace truck drops into the infield. Boris Jurkovic on the low side. Griffin on the outside. 5 green flag laps to go. The field picking up the pace. Can Elliott come from 5th, or will it be Griffin the win? Green is out. Jurkovic on the bottom. A good restart.
53 of Jurkovic beating Griffin to the line.
Rick Turner trouble down in turn number 2.
'84 Jay Newick turns it around in turn number 2, bringing out the caution flag. The Tag Incorporated Ford out of Cutlerville, Michigan, continuing the dramatics of the 40th running of the Winchester 400. Rick Turner unofficially running in 7th. Here goes Griffin, leads him out of turns 3 and 4. Chief Setter Brian Duncan, the green flag in hand, and we are racing.
Better restart for the 4-car of Griffin. He heads down into turn number 1 with the lead. Up the banking though. Here comes Jurkovic. Jurkovic takes the top spot away. That car of Griffin, the setup fading. Chase Elliott up to 4th. Jeff Lane running 3rd. They roll through turn number 4. Lane looks to the low side. 4 laps to go, and Jurkovic putting some distance between himself and Griffin. Oh, contact between Badness and Elliott. They continue on. Now Lane slips low. Here comes Elliott for 3rd. Chase Elliott up to the 3rd spot. His 2 new tires helping him pick up 2 positions. He needs to pick up 2 more.
Boris Jurkovic, your leader. Derek Griffin riding 2nd. 3 laps to go. Elliott up to 3rd. He'll challenge Griffin for 2nd, coming out of 2.
Chase Elliott to the inside of Derek Griffin for the number 2 position. There's going to be 2 laps to go. Elliott to the inside of Griffin. Coming off of 4. Griffin hanging on to 2nd, but only a lap and a half on the middle of the backstretch. Oh, Lane is sideways and spins coming off of the corner. Oh, look out. Back up the track. Clips Kennedy. Lane turned the wrong way. Kennedy does keep it off of the wall. Could have been a very dangerous mishap coming off of turn, and then Rick Turner in the 26 clips the 20, make it the 96 of Kennedy. Oh, wow, and this race is not over yet, and Chase Elliott now is involved in the lead battle. Wanting to let the 53 of Jurkovic just beat him to the start line in 4 and then go after it. Chase Elliott on the inside of Boris Jurkovic. 2 laps left, the restart coming up for the 40th running of the Winchester 400. The first 5 cars on the lead lap, and we're underway coming off of turn number 4.
Jurkovic leads him on a 4. Green flags out. We are racing. Jurkovic, a great restart going into turns 1 and 2. Elliott immediately goes to the high side.
And he does drop back to the bottom coming off of turn number 2. Chase Elliott to the inside of Boris Jurkovic. The duo for the lead in turns 3 and 4.
Here comes Derek Griffin trying to make something happen. The white flag is out. 1 lap remaining as they dive into 1 and 2.
Jurkovic takes it to the bottom. Here comes Elliott even further to the bottom. Side by side, just to the inside of Jurkovic is Elliott Griffin for second in turn 3. Elliott drives it hard into the corner, but Jurkovic off of turn number 4 to the checker. The winner of the 40th running of the Winchester 400, Boris Jurkovic. Second place to Derek Griffin, third to Chase Elliott, fourth to Josh Vadnais.
Nice round of applause for all these CRA Super Series competitors. A successful running of the 40th edition of the Winchester 400. Chase Elliott and Derek Griffin gave it all they had, but my goodness, the veteran from Joliet, Illinois, benefiting from about 3 Lucky Dog Awards, getting back on the lead lap, and he'll bring home the win in the 40th running of the Winchester 400. We'll get our post-race ceremonies all set up. We do have some post-race victory lane ceremonies approaching here just a few minutes. And we're waiting for the voice of CRA, Adam Mackey, to make his way to trackside. I see Adam down there. Adam, if you can hear me, go ahead and take it away.
From 3 laps down to the Reliable Recovery Services, number 53. He's a repo guy from Chicago, Illinois. He wins his 5th career CRA Super Series victory. Ready to climb from behind of the wheel with the win. Let's hear it for veteran Boris Jurkovic. Jurkovic all smiles. He is thrilled in victory lane, coming from 3 laps down today and strong enough at the end to hold off Griffin, Elliott, Vadnais, and Jeff Lane. Wow, Boris, from 3 laps down, we knew your car was good this weekend. You were pretty good in practice, pretty good in qualifying, but early in the race you had some problems. Tell us about that.
Yeah, by the way, we're only 2 laps down for the record. I just want you guys to know that. But good job, dude. We suffered a little bit. Left rear tire got twisted on us on that start, and it was shaking the car real bad. Everything I could do to hold on, Chris and the guys just kept telling me to keep going until the caution come out, and unfortunately that was me. But we got back, never quit. The guys did a heck of a job, and Fred did a great job up in the starters booth. I can't say enough for these guys.
The guys behind you, Chase Elliott and Derek Griffin, taking some tires there in the last 5 laps. You knew they were on fresher rubber. Did you think that was going to make a big difference?
2 laps to go, Winchester 400. I didn't think it was going to matter to me.
You were going to drive her in deep no matter what and see what came out at turn 4, right?
That's the bottom line here, brother. I wanted to win this one for a while now. Yep.
You won the All-American portion of the All-American 400 with CRA a couple of years ago. Now you add the Winchester 400. Huge wins for Boris Jurkovic.
Yes, like I said, I just can't thank my guys enough. Chris Gabehart did a hell of a job. He gave me the setup for the car, and Soup Bob Campbell, he sets all my cars up. 72 years old, still doing it. I just can't say enough. I want to thank all my guys over at Reliable Recovery.
Let's hear it again for your winner in 2011, Boris Jurkovic. Second place run, but importantly, a point championship in his rookie season of CRA Super Series racing. Wow, was this car good today. Just had some tires going away right there at the end. Had to make a pit stop. Found yourself back in the field, but ended up finishing second. Great run, great season for Derek Griffin.
Yeah, I couldn't have done it without Jeff Welch and Kurt Wilson giving me this opportunity. And Still Wrap Repair Tape, and then Scott Neal and everybody else here on this crew really helped me out here. And got to thank Hamner Racing Engines and Hamke Race Cars and PGG for the nitrogen. But overall, I mean, we had a really good car. Honestly, I thought we were coming to white. Probably should have paid a little bit more attention, but I might have stuck it in there on Boris.
Good run, Derek. Congratulations on a great season.
Thank you.
Derek Griffin, second place, but importantly, the season point champion in CRA Super Series competition.